Hey, welcome to the first episode of the Moon Talk Streamcast. Streamcast for the first time. Episode 1, man. Welcome, Matt.
Let's do this. What's up, Adam?
It's been a while. So I know we've been in the back trying to game plan on how we wanted to roll out our first Streamcast. For people listening to the first time, Matt and we've podcasted, I don't know, for like 3 months straight, and decided to team up with the team here over at NRM.
Let's go.
Streamcast, which hooking us up with this beautiful studio, better than our basement setup.
You got to respect that basement setup there. Our old pod, that was a good experience. We got prepared for this moment.
Absolutely. So we used to be on what was called the Contract Year podcast. My name is Adam. I go by AG.
I'm Matt. I go by Matt.
Yeah. So we develop a passion for podcasting, and now we're gonna call it streamcasting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Paul. Shout out Paul, Cisco, Alan. Thanks for working with us. But yeah, we decided that this was the best move, specifically what we wanted to talk about, which is NFTs and crypto. I feel like on Contract Year, we had like a bunch of different topics, and you kind of had to like sift through everything to get to what you wanted. But Matt and I, we just wanted to hone in on crypto. So here we are, part of the NRM family.
Yeah, absolutely. And with our wanting to help people, to help educate people, to help those listeners learn from our experience. This seems like the perfect type of platform, a little better than just you and I running our Instagram and TikTok trying to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. It's like we got this awesome team here helping us reach people, locally and nationwide, all running all sorts of businesses. And that's the part of NFTs and crypto and alternative investments, I'll call them, that I see, this world transforming.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of scams, there's a lot of headlines, a lot of negativity towards this world. So I know you and I just want to provide that, positive outlet for people to come in and learn with us.
Right, and that goes for anything, right? If it's something that's unfamiliar or something that's brand new, it's automatically going to be a lot of skepticism, people having questions just because like they haven't experienced whatever entity that might be. But definitely want to define Moon Talk for everyone who doesn't know what Moon Talk means, why we selected Moon Talk moving forward. So in the crypto NFT community, mooning is essentially a term that is used when your project or the coins start becoming more and more valuable. So you'll see on Twitter and whatnot, if you're part of some of these communities, like, hey, we're going to the moon with this one or whatever the case. So we wanted to call our Streamcast, I got to get used to that.
Let's go.
We wanted to call our Streamcast Moon Talk because essentially what we want to gear everyone up to be successful here. Matt and I both had our pitfalls and got rugged, had some scams happen to us and different things. But we're going through that so we can get the data back out to you guys so it doesn't happen to you. So like I said, it's a new space and we're not experts, but we're going to document our journey.
Yeah, I just wonder during the time when we were going literally to the moon for the first time, when Neil Armstrong was going to the moon, how many people for the centuries before, whenever people started on this world, no one would ever think that we would end up on the moon. And, over time, it happened.
Did we really?
We did. NFTs and crypto, there's still a lot of crazy concepts that don't make a ton of sense. But there is a future where it's in the world with us. So let's just learn together. Yeah. Let's break it down as simple as possible for our listeners and let's go.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people again are very skeptical, but there's been like you can run into somebody on the street that's been successful. Like I want to say maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I went out on a date with some girl.
That's right.
She was just talking about we've been talking for a little bit, and she has a couple properties here and there. And then when we actually got a chance to sit down, I was just kind of grilling her, like, all right, how did this happen? Like, how do you have this property here in Michigan? How do you have it in Tampa or whatever? And she was like, honestly, I got a crypto mentor like 5 years ago.
Wow.
And she hit big on, I think it was Cardano, Ethereum, Solana, and another coin, but
so she made some money in early crypto, early-ish crypto,
and she was able to convert those coins and flip them over to cold hard cash, and then made some investments and honestly just reinvested in other properties. Like she's really big into real estate now. But I say that to say that's a real life example of like somebody random that I just met and they're invested in having success with this.
It's crazy because, we're both single, and I picture going out on dates, and the second I talk about NFTs or crypto or anything along those realms, it's like, man, I'm probably better be getting the check soon. It's not something you think people are gonna latch onto. So it's got to be interesting. You're out with a girl, and she's talking about buying houses with money she made from real estate.
And that was the first time that's happened to me, because then my question after was, do you have any NFTs? And then she opens up her wallet. She had like 3, and I'm like, well, I have 40. Like, I don't know how much of a loser I might be at this point, but no, she was digging it. But like, I mean, that's not the first time it's happened. Like I told you, like on our last podcast, went out to a Michigan State tailgate.
Yeah.
Ran into some dude. He asked me what I did, and he said, "Oh, I just came back from Brazil." And so I naturally asked him what he did, and he showed me his wallet, and I guess he invested like, I don't know, 70, 80K into Solana and Avalanche at the time.
Dang.
And his wallet blew up to like 1.3 million in assets.
Holy moly.
And so like he screenshot it, sent it to me. Like these are real life people. I'm saying this just because like, again, a lot of skepticism.
Yeah. It's crypto is the part of what we're talking about that I'm probably least familiar with, or I'm definitely going through the learning process there. I may be more educated, and I say that loosely because no one's an expert at this point right now. But I came in on the NFT side, and I'm starting
You've
to
had
understand.
some success too.
I have, and we'll definitely talk about that. But you start to see, or at least I started to see from the NFT perspective, how crypto works when you're talking about supply and demand and trusting digital currency, digital things, and what value that brings to someone else, someone on the other end of a transaction.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to me. But I think you got to tell your story about how you got into crypto.
Yeah.
I know there were some pretty key events that hit our stock market that kind of led you into this.
Yeah. So, and we'll get into our backgrounds, but you and I used to work together, and we used to talk stocks pretty frequently.
That's how we kind of connected.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so like I'm losing track of the timeline now. I don't know if it was 2020 or 2019.
We met 2019, or at least before 2020, when you and I started getting into NFTs.
Well, yeah, for sure. But I mean, when the GameStop and AMC Theater stocks
just before the pandemic, 2020, just before the pandemic, January.
Yeah, so that's my initial introduction into crypto, because it was almost like an advertisement for it. So being a stock person, like you invest your money into the stocks, and then they go up or down based on the success of the company, how many shareholders, et cetera, et cetera.
There's risk.
And so I guess there was a Reddit community that was created for GameStop, and the leaders of the community were like, hey, everybody who's a part of this thread or whatever, I barely know how Reddit works, but everybody, let's go invest into GameStop. And I think they did the same thing with AMC.
And they did this because GameStop was, I think, the number one most shorted stock by the larger institutions, or by the total number of shareholders. GameStop was heavily shorted, so there's all these people betting on it to fail.
Correct.
So this Reddit community was like, screw this, we love GameStop.
And it's a free market.
Let's support it.
Yeah, and it's a free market, and we can essentially use this to give an example of we the people, we can dictate the market if we wanted to. And so everybody was investing into GameStop that the shareholders were betting on losing, essentially.
The short sellers.
Yeah, the short sellers. And so GameStop stock was going crazy. Everybody
it was going to the moon. It was going to the moon.
It was actually insane. Same with AMC. And so like then it became popular on Twitter, like, hey, just putting the word out, essentially. This happens with a lot of things. Like most recently a scam. There was a DoorDash scam. And then the word gets out, was like, hey, they're expired gift cards, use them. So like
we're in the world of hype and headlines, and people are just jumping on the bandwagon, which has its issues.
Yeah. So a lot of people were riding this GameStop ride, and then essentially the biggest app one of the biggest apps at that point in time, Robinhood, essentially kiboshed it. That you couldn't invest into GameStop or AMC anymore because they
took off the buy button.
Exactly, because they must have gotten a phone call like, these people are making too much money. and are the people who have the most influence are losing all of their money betting against the stock. And so
when you short sell it, your exposure is infinite. It's exponentially greater than just the money you put into it.
Right.
The higher the stock goes, you have to buy it at that price. So they were, crapping their pants.
which was really unfortunate, because when I got wind of that, it was like the whole game is rigged. And so, and the flip side, I had a couple buddies who been invested into crypto for a couple years, and they hit me up immediately. It was like, hey, this is why you get into crypto, because allegedly, and we'll talk about in some other episodes, but a lot of the platforms are decentralized and are essentially govern themselves. Like, there's no outside sources that can come shut it down, like a Robinhood or something like that.
Basically, a platform for or a community where you're controlling yourself, your identity, and
everybody
your
plays by the same rules, and there's nobody who's above another person. And so that's initially how I got in, which then led me to NFTs, because you need cryptocurrency depending on what kind of currency to purchase NFTs.
Got you.
But enough about me.
No,
How did you get involved?
On the flip side, I came in via NFTs. Actually started as a collector of trading cards, of sports cards.
Yeah.
I used to play baseball and just love following players and with our passion for investing and trying to figure out what's the next big stock or business or company. I like doing that with trading cards. Who's the next big player. So what that did, and as long as it took for me to stay loyal to my physical trading cards, because I love holding them and
that's a big mental hurdle.
It is.
In this.
It is, and it looking back on it, cost me opportunity cost millions of dollars, because if I had jumped on the NFT bandwagon a little bit earlier, I may have been a little more savvy to buy some.
To be fair, you were pretty early.
Bored apes, we're all early. If you're listening now, you're early. But yeah, no. Via collecting and learning about why someone would value a 3-inch piece of cardboard with some color on it that depicts a baseball player. Why is someone paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for that, or $100 for that? I started to learn, it doesn't just have to be physical. There's some power to it being digital. And then once I started to realize the power to, having your self-sovereign identity or using the blockchain, which we'll talk about and break down next episode, having that verified authentication, on the blockchain creates it opened up Pandora's box for me. It creates this whole ecosystem of how this all can work and how it all makes sense, both from a collecting perspective and as we advance further, using the technology for business. Things that we do today without even knowing that we're using them are going to be NFTs, just because of the technology behind them. Right now, people think of NFTs, and I'd be curious as we have guests on or people, chiming in, asking questions as we develop this. Like, it's not just pictures of apes smoking weed with something coming out of his ear, which there's a lot of, and people are pay a lot of money for those.
There's a lot of parody for that.
Yeah. All that's possible because of the technology underneath it. And I'm just excited to see how that develops, learn through it with you. I know you said we met in our old job selling IT. What that taught me is how different types of companies around the world are building their company for the future, how their digital transformation is being used in different ways. So I'm pumped to see what this turns into and sharing this experience. I wish there were some people that I could share this experience with when I was coming up and have that kind of backbone to lean on. That's what I want to do for anyone who's 100%. Listening.
And I like how you brought up trading cards, because a lot of people, like, if I'll post a picture of NFT I own or like talk about it on Twitter or whatever, and they just can't wrap their head around like how I got into it. And they're like, well, Adam, you're in IT sales and all this stuff. Like, you don't have to like have any knowledge of tech, period. Like, some of us just do it just from a collector standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about the Nickelodeon NFTs that just came out. Like, that's the first time I've seen like a network as prestigious as Nickelodeon like come out with their own NFTs, like you can own the Hey Arnold or a
Rugrats.
Yeah, Angelica Pickles or whatever the case may be.
Nostalgia.
And I haven't seen anything like that, but I say that to say, like, yes, there is a technical aspect behind it, but once you understand the baseline fundamental of like what the blockchain actually is and what it's trying to accomplish, like, it's not the biggest hurdle. It's just, again, it's new, so it's like, I don't know what the hell this is, but you can utilize it from a straight asset standpoint if you want to get into crypto, like with Bitcoin or whatnot, or from a collector standpoint if you want to get with NFTs and like one of your favorite artists is creating a new line that you really enjoy and you're like, man, I need to have X amount of these NFTs just like you would basketball cards, baseball cards, or whatever. So I think it's important to highlight that you don't have to understand this technically to get involved.
So trading cards were a relatively recent hobby of mine in the last couple of years. So I've really started to learn about the history of it, and I've realized, trading cards have had their moments throughout history, but historically there's been a gap in the market, in the trading card market. But each and every time, about 25, 30, 35 years later, once the kids who enjoyed it as kids are now older, maybe with kids of their own, some expendable money, the nostalgia comes into play, and it's reliving those experiences of the players you followed back in the 80s or 90s, or like you were talking about Rugrats and Hey Arnold, like being able to relive some of those classics that we grew up on and see how that IP is being developed by these companies is cool. Like, and that's just hype and IP. Like we're not talking about utility and the technology. That's just, dang, I get to own a piece of the Rugrats or hey, like, it's different. It's different.
Yeah, and for anybody who's like, all right, I don't give a shit about collecting and I don't give a damn about coins or whatever, like, this is going to essentially transform everyday life. Like I was telling you off mic, like I was on Balenciaga's website, and there's a couple jackets that are exclusive, but you can only buy it with a certain coin. And so, like, we've been talking about what blockchain technology might do for real estate, what it might do for our passports eventually. So it's like, this is something to, like, if you're not interested in NFTs per se or crypto per se, I would say it would be smart or wise to start getting develop some sort of understanding around just blockchain specifically, because it is going to hit us in one way or another.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, when you think about tickets at sporting events or concerts or even just like membership cards, punch cards at your local coffee shop, those are going to be NFTs. Imagine if the coffee shop is able to recognize who were their first buyers of this punch card digitally, or they can airdrop them things as gifts, or you can just get really, really creative with it. And it's a way to support up and coming artists if you use their art in your NFT image. It's just there's so much. There's such a big lane open for this. It's gonna hit us like a ton of bricks. Actually, it might not hit it. It's gonna be a gradual, you roll out, but like it's gonna transform everything.
Yeah, and it's hit mainstream too. So it was last week. It was Rolling Loud Miami. It's a festival with like a bunch of artists, rapper, singer, or whatever. Future was one of the main headliners. So I streamed it on my laptop, and you know how artists have like big screens in the back and everything like that. Future had his own Bored Ape like dancing with him.
Come on.
Like
what was the image of Tupac at Coachella a couple years ago?
Yeah, a hologram.
Yeah. So is that how he did it?
He didn't have a hologram, but it was on screens, and it was like smoking weed, drinking lean. Like he made it do that, just like the Seth Green movie that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Of him using his own NFT IP to make characters and have these people come to life. Like people like are utilizing these things, like, and that's what I want to get across to potential viewers, new viewers, anybody listen to our past podcasts or anything like that. Like, this is for real. You know what I'm saying?
And
like,
stick with us too, because we're going to throw out a lot of examples, a lot of use cases. Not everyone's going to make sense to you or to me or to AG, but once it does hit, once you find that one where it kind of clicks for you. Once that happened to me, it just kind of opened up this world of innovation in my head. I was like, whoa, like everything could be changed in some way.
Yeah.
Who knows what it all turns into, but it's just a really interesting concept that I'm pumped to develop.
Yeah,
so
man.
what are you thinking moving forward? How are we gonna roll this out to people, or what do we want to tell them to bring them back?
Yeah, moving forward, definitely we want to start with a baseline education, and we're going to reiterate that education throughout episodes. Definitely want to sit down with some artists, some crypto NFT experts, some entrepreneurs, and trying to figure out, like, spitball how we can get NFTs incorporated in their business. Like, I was telling you, like, I'm trying to brainstorm for my barber how it's going to work out for him, but like just trying to open people's mindsets of
Love that.
what could be. And it honestly just starts in the simplest form. Like when I first heard about Bitcoin, I was just like some of these people now. I was just like, that's way too advanced. I don't give a fuck about that. Let me just make money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like moving forward, I think a lot of the guests and the base like education that we'll provide, aside from the questions that people ask us, and we can bring it up on the streamcast. I think that's what you can expect moving forward. Just a lot of that incorporated in different cultures too, like music, sports, real estate, whatever.
All of it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Couldn't have said any better myself.
Yeah, man.
For episode 1, AG.
Hey, man, I'm super excited. I hope you guys stick with it, and we'll be around.
Let's go. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I didn't know if we need to wait for the music to come. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's our 4th time doing it. So.
Right, but even the last time, like I was kind of nervous, stumbling some words. I'm just gonna look this next episode. Just want to make sure what I wrote down.